This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Wednesday, November 27th, 2019, the day before Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving Day. And RBN, a little reminder, RBN is giving our greatly overworked staff Thursday and Friday off. So this show will not be back live until next Monday. So just give you a heads up on that one here. And these days, it almost seems like there is nothing that you can do where you're not going to have these easily triggered leftists up in arms. And apparently over at Malacaster College in Minnesota, a group of leftists got together demanding that Thanksgiving be canceled because it glorifies the genocide of indigenous people, and it's just a bunch of capitalist nonsense. Well, they may be correct on the second part, but I'm rather shocked that these university students don't understand the origin of this Thanksgiving that's celebrated at the end of November. Now, yes, there was a Thanksgiving back when the Pilgrims first came to the United States here, but Thanksgiving was a generic term. It was any time a feast was held in celebration of something. And the Thanksgiving we have today was declared by presidential proclamation of Abraham Lincoln, and it was to celebrate the Union victory in the Civil War. It's got nothing to do with what happened between the Indians and the Pilgrims. So, and again, if you don't want to celebrate Thanksgiving, don't celebrate Thanksgiving, okay? But don't go around telling everybody else what they should do so that the universe is what you think it ought to be. For one thing, that's called dictatorship. Now, out in California, they're dealing with very high winds on top of those horrible storms. And once again, 120,000 Californians are without electric power. And while we're on that topic, it's been very, very windy today. It's starting to calm down, but we have parts of Indiana where they lost their electricity as well. So if things get really quiet, all of a sudden you'll understand why. All righty, let's get into the domestic politics here a little bit. By the way, the phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And I'm extending yesterday's challenge into today. Call us and tell us what you have to be thankful for this Thanksgiving. And most of the reaction we got from that yesterday was, well, I'm thankful for a few things, but overall, things are just so rotten in this country. Well, we know that. Okay, but the spirit of Thanksgiving is we look at those things that are good and we focus on those. I mean, because especially around this show, we spend so much time looking at all the bad and negative stuff. So it's an opportunity to say, yeah, there's some good stuff out there. Like Claire, number one on my list. So getting on back to our domestic politics here. It turns out, somebody leaked it, that the anti-Trump whistleblower Eric Ciaramella, while he was still an official with the Obama White House, met with a George Soros-funded group in the White House itself in September of 2016. Even back then, they were saying, Trump could actually win. He could pull it off. The polling numbers are basically showing he's got very strong support. And all the vote fraud in the world, may not be enough to put Hillary into the Oval Office. And the problem with using election fraud is if you do too much of it, people notice. So it's a potent weapon, and it can swing an election by a few percentage points, but it can't generate a landslide. or everybody becomes suspicious. So apparently, the suspected whistleblower who started this whole push for impeachment based on this quid pro quo with Ukraine, held a meeting with a George Soros-connected group in the White House. And he was still part of the Obama administration. The group that he met included an executive from a George Soros-connected group. And of course, the big question is, what were they discussing? Meanwhile, the shift has really hit the fan. Adams' latest star witness threw a big monkey wrench into this whole Ukraine quid pro quo. This was an official from the Office of Management and Budget, and said that Ukraine aid was held up because other countries who had promised they were going to help weren't helping. They weren't sending the checks in. Paul Craig Roberts has an article out, Washington, the Cesspool of the World, Will Never Rat on Itself. And he's basically out there saying that, he's hearing all these people like former U.S. Attorney Joe DiGenova predicting that the Inspector General's report is going to ruin careers. It's going to be devastating. And Paul Craig Roberts is saying, for the sake of accountable government, I hope DiGenova is right. But I have my doubts. Okay, cabinet departments and government agencies are not very good at investigating themselves. Attorney General Barr's job is to protect his department. He knows and will often be told that to bring indictments against Justice Department officials would discredit the Justice Department in the public's mind, or at least that portion of the public that still thinks they have some credibility. And it would affect the attitude of juries toward the Department of Justice prosecutions. Now, John Durham knows exactly the same thing. He also knows that he will create a hostile environment for himself if he indicts Department of Justice officials, and that when he joins a law firm to capitalize on experience as a U.S. attorney, he will not receive the usual favors when he represents clients against the Department of Justice. Horowitz knows that his job is to cover up or minimize any illegalities in order to protect the Department of Justice from scandals. And I'm sorry to say, I think Paul Craig Roberts is bang spot on. I think despite all the hype that we've been hearing about the FISA report coming on out and just being devastating, I don't think so. They're going to say it was a bunch of mistakes and bad judgments by some lower level people who will get a wrist slap, and that will be the end of it. All right, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. There's been an interesting development now. The Department of Justice is requesting a delay in the Flynn case until after the publication of the Inspector General report. Now, the Flynn case is already in serious trouble. The judge is openly hostile toward the prosecution and thinks that, they took some rather unethical shortcuts, try and just rack up a conviction of General Flynn to wreck his life. Well, if somebody's life and career are going to be wrecked, I would rather it be the Department of Justice than Flynn. Flynn really didn't do anything. They just decided they were going to get him. Going to get Flynn. Now, over at Judicial Watch, they issued a statement. Actually, they released a court filing that reveals the FBI found more Clinton emails that have never been seen by the public, and the FBI turned these emails over to the State Department for review. Now, remember, the State Department has already come out and said it's going to take 75 years to review all of the Hillary Clinton emails. And if that's not a stalling tactic, I don't know what is. So, doesn't get dirtier than that. Now, here's an interesting little story. The other day, we were talking about this one Democrat who had gone public saying that they were not going to vote for impeachment. There just didn't seem to really be much point in getting Trump out of the White House right now, because they're absolutely confident that he's going to lose re-election next year anyway. But it's turning out that a lot of Democrats, a lot of vulnerable Democrats who are up for re-election next year, they're starting to get cold feet because the anti-impeachment backlash is being felt in their home districts among their own constituents. Polls are showing that support for this impeachment sham is plunging rapidly. So they're getting this cold feet on impeachment, and right now, to pass an articles of impeachment, they're going to need 218 votes. And they might get the 218, but not much more to that. And that in and of itself is going to make the Democrats look bad. There are 233 Democrats in the House right now. 2 voted against opening the impeachment inquiry in the first place. If more than 2 vote against impeachment, the inescapable conclusion for many Americans will be that Schiff's 2 weeks of hearings were so unpersuasive that he actually lost support for impeachment within his own party. So all of a sudden, we're hearing less and less about impeachment and more about censure. We're not going to impeach the president, but we are going to censure him, which is basically is a wrist slap. And it's seen as a compromised position between trying to go for impeachment and failing, and simply walking away from the table, neither of which is considered politically acceptable. So they're talking about just dropping the impeachment, and instead they're going to vote to censure him. A lot more members of the House of Representatives would vote to censure Trump, knowing that it's not really going to have much of a backlash. So right now, a lot of people in the media and a lot of people in the House of Representatives are saying censure is the best option for dealing with Trump. That will not come back to bite their carefully guarded posteriors. In other words, censure is the escape hatch. Democrats to get out of this mess they created themselves. They really did. Over at Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton said, I agree with censure in the coup against President Trump. The House should censure Adam Schiff for his misconduct and move on. So anyway, Tucker Carlson basically came on out and said, look, this impeachment push is over. The Democrats lost. And then Tucker went on to blame the corporate media trying to sell impeachment to the American people. And failure of the impeachment push is the failure of corporate media. They've lost the ability to control what the American people are thinking. The polls are showing it. The American people are fed up with hearing about impeachment. They know it's all a sham. They're tired of it. Okay, over at the White House, the president basically went along with a tradition that goes back for a great many years of how the president will pardon a turkey. In this case, the turkey's name is Butter. Rather unfortunate one there, and then basically said that the turkey has already received subpoenas from Adam Schiff. So Trump is in good spirits, at least on this issue here. Now, Joe Biden came on out the other day and said he was considering having a female running mate, that he had 4 in mind, none of whom he could actually name. Another major gaffe there. And now Elizabeth Warren is playing catch up, saying that she may choose a woman as her vice presidential pick. Sort of level that whole issue here. Well, It may not accomplish anything of any use, but next year's election is definitely going to be a lot of fun to watch, I think. Ghislaine Maxwell apparently is from Brazil, fighting a legal battle to try and clear her name or get out of whatever trouble she's in here. And she has revealed how she hired women to massage Jeffrey Epstein at his home at least once a day, and admits that she knew Prince Andrew, sex accuser Virginia Roberts, was only 17 at the time. This is in newly released court papers. All right. Hunter Biden can't seem to keep his name and face out of the news here. There is this DC strip club, and I've never been to Washington, D.C., but I've heard there's a lot of these strip clubs around there. And apparently, Hunter Biden was a regular visitor. And at one point, they believed that he was smoking crack in the VIP room during a visit last year. And strip club's managing partner, James Ritter, told Page Six that one visit in late 2018 was marred by a suspicion of drug use. He's a bad boy. He's a bad boy. Daddy ought to take him out behind the woodshed here. All right, not too long ago, Attorney General William Barr came on out and said, look, there was no conspiracy in the death of Jeff Epstein. It was just this incredible chain of coincidences, that both guards fell asleep at the same time, that both security cameras watching the cell malfunctioned at the same time. Then he goes on to say he personally reviewed security camera footage that showed nobody went in or out of the area. So we're not exactly sure what's going on there. And so now you've got the former New York City Police Commissioner saying that the indictment of the Epstein prison guards should end all the conspiracy theories. You wish. And I think the reason we're seeing all these high-profile people come on out and try and resell this whole situation is, as I reported yesterday, polls are showing that the American people do not buy the Epstein committing suicide by like a 3-to-1 margin. They're really losing control over this story. And in government, if at first you don't succeed, lie again. Over at the EIB network, Rush Limbaugh, actually on air, warned his 15 million listeners not to trust Fox News. Of course, we've been telling you the exact same thing for quite a long time here. Tucker Carlson did a report on the OPCW whistleblower saying that the OPCW basically fudged the records to blame Bashar al-Assad for the Duma chemical weapons attack, which the Russian Foreign Ministry is saying was actually carried out by the White Helmets themselves. So Tucker was out there saying, we've been lied to. And that shouldn't be a surprise, being lied to drag us into war, because it's happened so many times before, whether it's torpedoes in the Gulf of Tonkin, a Spanish mine in Havana Harbor, claims that the Lusitania was not smuggling weapons to Great Britain, Saddam's nukes, Assad's sarin gas, so forth and so on. That's how wars get started. That's how the U.S. government tricks you into war. They tell a big, whopping lie. They stage an event like 9/11 and say, oh, those gosh darn Arabs, they did it. We've got to go give them what for. That's standard operating practice, not just for the United States. All governments lie to their people because that's the only way they can get them to go to war. All right, we got to take a break here for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the seven seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go to the phones and start with Joe in Tennessee. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. Happy day before Thanksgiving Day.
Thank you.
Thanksgiving Eve. I was watching today on YouTube. I was watching that TV show that came out back in the early 80s when Reagan was president called The Day After. I'm sure you remember that.
I do remember it.
Huge, it really captivated the nation. And it actually forced Reagan or kind of gave him a kick in the butt to kind of make nice with the Soviets and sign some treaties. And it actually worked towards friendship. And next thing you know, we had the Gorbachev and the fall of the Berlin Wall and all that. And I was watching it today, and I just, you look at it, and it's such a great piece of anti-war propaganda. I mean, in a good way. It's quite hokey, and I like skipping to the parts where the missiles go off, and then the after effects, just because I'm kind of morbid in my thinking. But
yes,
it just really gives you a great taste of how destructive. Sometimes you forget what we're capable of doing to one another, and I just wish that the modern cinema and television, instead of pushing these Russia conspiracy theories and all this Russia bad stuff and Iran bad stuff and China bad stuff, they could put it a little in proportion. I mean, that what a war really can do. I mean, we've had all these like little wars, like with Iraq and Libya and all these little engagements, and we forget what nuclear weapons are capable of doing. I mean, and the Russians they have some really, really advanced weaponry. The new missile they have is incredible. And we really have no way to deal with it. And I think that they're playing politics with the Russia thing to try to go after Trump, and the Democrats and the left and the media are really putting this country at risk. And I think they should be ashamed of themselves for what they're doing, because it really is. I guess none of them must have been old like us, that we remember the Soviet Union and the Cold War. And I remember how glad I was when it was over back in the 90s. It seemed like for about 20 years with Yeltsin and the first years of Putin and everything, Russia was really, we got along with them. And it's just so sad to see, because of political reasons and the oligarchs losing their power and bankers and all that stuff, that they've demonized Russia. And it's just, I think that somebody needs to make The Day After or something like that to kind of light a fire underneath the peace movement, in this country. And the peace movement, which is interesting, it's another thing that shifted. The peacemakers are now from the right, Ron Paul and Paul Craig Roberts, people like that. And the left is all there, hollering and fanatics about Putin, because they've put Putin as the backer of Trump. So it's like, let's go after Trump with Putin. And it's so short-sighted, it's sad,
Yes.
And so it's just a little perspective is needed. And now on this whole impeachment thing, it's really a real fiasco for the Democrats. And I'm going to give them a little advice about what they should do. See, Nadler should say that until we get our subpoenas through the courts, we're just going to postpone this thing and go on recess. And that gives them an easy out and lets them put it on the White House that they're not cooperating, right? You have the courts, stalling it, and you also have it hanging over Trump's head. So if Trump, Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies and you want to make him look bad, you can start it all up again, and then they'll be saying, oh, he can't pick a Supreme Court justice. He's under the impeachment investigation. So that gives them several different things, and then the Democrats in the House can censor him and get the lefties, give them a little bit of red meat so that they calm down, because their problem's going to be from the left when they do this, because the left wants him impeached. I mean, But I think that they're realizing what impeachment means, because every day the Republicans are going to talk about Biden and Ukraine and Obama, and the corruption in Ukraine is, it's going to come out, and if it goes too much further. So I think the Democrats really they could pull somewhat of a good move, and my advice is what I just told you is what they should do. And I wanted to say one other thing. I had a nightmare last night, and part of the nightmare was that something bad was going to happen to AOC, the Congresswoman. And I thought about it in the morning, and I was thinking, that would be a great false flag for the left, to blame it on some right winger, and either her or Omar or one of them. Because you don't have to have a false flag for politics like 9/11 or anything at that scale, but for politics, boy, that would really, you get some guy, a Trump supporter wearing a red hat, and boy, that would really fire him up, So I would expect to see.
Joe, we're about to go to commercial break, and Keith Rogers is saying you should watch another documentary from BBC, When the Bomb Dropped. And I've seen that one. That's a very good one. Okay, we got to take a break for commercials. We'll be back with more phone calls after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Here we're going to go back to the phones to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
But before I get to, it's on Eve of Thanksgiving. Joe, you got Threads by Dawn's Really Light, and you have a movie called Testament with Kevin Costner was in there. If you want to be like watching like those nuclear war movies, those three. Threads is pretty dramatic. That was like in the UK, but that movie was more traumatic to me than The Day After. But getting on with that, Mike, what do you, I looked at that WADA, the world that, the anti-doping thing, and they're going to give Russia the 4 more years of it's all rigged. Like they're still rigging everything,
Yes.
like what's the IAS or the IOS, the International Olympic Committee, IOC, that's it, right?
That's
I
it,
think
yeah.
They don't want that, but this WADA group, this is what it's all about, though. It's like keeping down Russia. That's what the whole. Look at what the thing with Tucker Carlson had on with the OPCE, right?
The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW.
the people who went out on the ground said it was BS. The only chlorine they found was normal, like in chlorine drinking, chlorinated water that people drink in cities because to kill the bacteria. That was the only levels they found. But when they reported back to the people higher up, the higher ups covered that up, and they made up their own decisions because they're linked to like other groups in either the CIA or MI5.
Yep.
Like the same with the Skripals. Isn't the OPCW investigating the Skripal chemical attack also?
That's British jurisdiction. It's supposedly being investigated by MI5, MI6, and the New Scotland Yard.
But you see how, you know what is crazy? Like how they have their tentacles in all these in these different groups. OPCW, the WADA, because remember this whole doping thing came out in a time when when you got this whole thing going on with Ukraine, right? With the coup, and then Russia responded to that, and then you make it like it's Russia's fault, right? And it's the same with the Olympic doping scandal. All of a sudden that came out at that same particular time, right? So all these things have come out, but they're still there. The head of the people in the OPCW are still there. The people in WADA are still there, and they're still getting their marching orders from people unknown, Mike. I mean, like people who we don't even see their faces, that are just still stabbing at Russia, because they're trying to keep them down or contained. Isn't that the word? They want to keep them contained from not.
Well, that's what we're hearing. But the real issue is the U.S. government is losing control of the American people, because the American people are fed up with all the lies and the corruption and the overtaxation, and the government being too busy playing their games to actually take care of this country. So the U.S. government has gone back to an old standard trick, which is to create an enemy and try and make us so afraid of the enemy that we'll overlook the shortcomings of our own government in the hope that they will protect us.
Mike, I just watched that Duran episode. They had, if people go to the Duran, they had the thing about the OPCW and also how Russia's economy is doing pretty well.
Yes.
They have all their debt paid off, and did you see the thing where their bonds are like they're getting 4% return, and ours are only getting like 1.25%.
Yes.
I mean, so they're saying Russia's bulletproof. They're better investment friendly for long-term investments than here.
Yes.
If we didn't have this printing press. Exactly. Yeah. And it's amazing. Even though Trump's in, these people remain. That's what I keep getting at. I watched the thing with Michael Scheuer. He said if Trump needs to get rid of like everybody in the CIA on the top, and that includes Gina Haspel, those people, he has to get rid of these people. But nothing's happening. Like nothing's happening with John Brennan. Nothing's happening with Clapper, who was the head of the NSA. These people they might not be there anymore, Mike, but the people who were around them are still there. And until you get rid of them, you're never going to get rid of the rot. The rot's always going to remain. It's like Obama's legacy or Bush's legacy. Because remember, Victoria Nuland, who was involved in the coup with Hillary Clinton, she was put in by the Bushes, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Victoria Nuland. See? So it's not a Democrat-Republican issue. It's just a rotting cesspool of corruption. That's all I got to say, Mike. Have a good Thanksgiving, you and your wife and everybody who calls in.
All right. Thanks an awful lot here. And the Republican Democratic dichotomy is part of the illusion, to make us think like we've got some kind of a choice, and we don't really. And I think the last several presidential elections have kind of shown that no matter who we vote for, the war machine continues. And that earlier caller was absolutely right. It is utter insanity to be goading Russia, because if it comes to actual war, first side that feels they're losing the conventional war is going to resort to the nuclear weapons. And they literally are playing with dynamite, or in this case, plutonium here. All right, let's go back to the phones here to Steve Elkins. Aloha, Steve. Welcome to the government. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
To the government. Welcome to the government. No, I was just going to add on that you hit right on the nail right on the head. The truth is the first casualty in going to war.
Yep.
And the government knows this very well. They like to play on emotion, to spin an absolute lie as a truth, and it's become their MO. And so often we learn much later because emotion paralyzes critical thinking skills. We learn after the fact that the emotion has paralyzed that critical thinking skills that we have, and we've been duped once again.
Yes.
I'm not sure when the American people are actually going to learn from the past of weapons of mass destruction, many lies in history to bring us to war, but we don't seem to be catching on. At least this audience does, but the general dumb population, the GDP, doesn't get it. They're watching Fox or watching all these different mainstream media networks, and they're saying it's true, and it seems to be working. And I just hope that someday people will wise up and they get smart to say, you know what, I've been lied to so many times now. Why is this one true? I'm hoping that happens. And that's it for me tonight, Mike. I just want to wish you and Claire a happy Thanksgiving. It's nice to hear you back. I'm glad you're getting healthy. Stay healthy.
Yes.
We definitely need you in this fight.
Well, thank you very much, and have a happy Thanksgiving. And we're going to let you go now and switch over to Steve in West Virginia. Aloha, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. Your callers are hitting it right where it counts. I just want to say, I know you've repeated over and over that you think we're going to have a Soviet-style collapse. And I totally agree with you with one caveat, because I know that they can't keep these assets inflated to the levels that they are right now. But the caveat is that when this thing collapses, the same people that are in there now are going to try and come back in and re-resurrect everything. And that's the caveat, where with the Soviets, they kicked Yeltsin out, and then you had Putin emerge. And with this, we're going to get the same we're going to get Adam Schiff back. We're going to get all these people back that are crooked and dishonest, and they're going to try and come back in, and it's, they're going to be there. And that's the difference right there. So,
well, I think history is against you on this, because if you look at the time when other regimes have fallen, yes, the people who were part of the collapsed regime wanted to try and get back into government, and the people basically said, no, you've had your shot at it. And when this all starts coming apart, I would definitely go long on tar and feathers.
Mike, I hope you're right. I hope you're right on that one. The other thing I got to say is, Paul Craig Roberts, that man is a national treasure. You got to really appreciate him, because he comes out there and tells it just exactly like it is. I mean, there's not too many people doing that. On the other side, you got this guy on the X-22 report. He's coming on every day and telling these people that this Q is going to save them. And they're all, there's these 60,000 arrests coming, and it's just a bunch of lies to pacify people. And people need to quit listening to that stuff. That it's to pacify you and make you so you don't do anything, so you don't rise
exactly.
up.
We've been hearing that for years. There's an indictment coming, there's arrest coming. The Lone Ranger's going to ride over the hill with Tonto and set everything right. Batman is on his way,
yes.
Yeah, and you're right. The idea is to, give the American people an excuse to not actually take matters into their own hands.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and Steve Elkins also mentioned Fox. Maybe Dustin mentioned it. Fox is terrible. Fox is absolutely terrible. I can't believe Trump supporters are still listening to Fox. Fox, Tucker Carlson's, Hannity's terrible. I mean, you got to get off that, man. You got to get off this Q stuff, and Fox and some of these other people that are out there preaching Q. Q has not done shit. Excuse my language. Anyways, yes. Mike, have a good Turkey Day, and I just want to say, get off this Q stuff. It's not going to help you.
Well, I basically have said since the beginning that Q is, a psychological operation. Again, help is on the way. Don't do anything. Just stay quietly in your homes and, watch TV, and, somebody else is coming to fix the problem, which unfortunately people have a tendency to automatically believe because we've been raised with TV and movies where, there's a problem and either 30 or 60 minutes or 90 minutes, if it's a feature film, somebody comes in to save everything. And I notice that as the situation in this country gets more dire and people get more disenfranchised, we're seeing more and more superhero movies that are selling that idea. Yeah. The Avengers are coming on in.
Mike,
take care of everything.
Mike, do you notice that on all these Marvel comic movies, you got these superheroes like Hulk and Captain America, and the Flash, Do you notice that the United States government is always in charge of them? And
yes.
Even if they go awry, the United States government could beat them. I mean, it's just a total psyop. I mean, don't watch these Marvel movies. I mean, do something else and go run 10 miles or something, man. Don't watch these more. It is a psyop. The whole thing's a psyop. The U.S. government's always the good guy when it isn't the good guy. Anyways, Mike, have a good Turkey Day.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too far off here because I get angry about this stuff.
Well, one of my favorite movies of all time is All the President's Men, with Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. And watching that movie, you might be tempted to think that this was a unique event in American political history. And it's not. This kind of stuff goes on all the time. Just in this one case, it was blown into the public by the Washington Post. And by the way, when the Washington Post was trying to run this story and get it out there, every other major newspaper and all the TV networks wouldn't touch it. So finally, it just became so hot, they couldn't be seen to not be reporting it. And there have been a few times in the past years when the independent media has made an issue so important on the internet that corporate media was finally forced to deal with it, like the Downing Street memo, I think is one example that comes to mind here. But the American people, we are so far away from the kind of people who crossed the Atlantic in the Mayflower and basically built this country by hand for the most part. And we've become very, placid and tranquilized. And who knows, maybe there's something in the drinking water to keep us calm. We know that fluoride in the drinking water is a mild tranquilizer. But eventually all empires fall, as Gandhi used to say, and they may appear to be invincible, but they always fall. Rome fell rather spectacularly. Ceausescu fell. Louis XVI fell. And Charles I, took it in the neck, as it were. So sooner or later, somebody makes a big mistake that they can't back off from.
Mike, you and about just a handful of others are the only people out there telling it like it is. You're not telling people that the Q is going to come save you. You're telling it like it is, and that's what needs. There needs to be more people like you.
If you want to make this a better world, you got to do it yourself. Okay, nobody's going to fix anybody who comes on in and says, I'm going to make the world better for you. No, they're going to make the world better for them at your expense.
Exactly. Have a good Turkey Day, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. And we do have another caller waiting on the line, but we're too close to the commercial break here. Speaking of the media, the BBC is now losing the trust of their British viewers, who are perhaps a little bit more angry because BBC is funded directly by the TV licensing fees that the British people are paying. Anyway, got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be back with another phone call.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're going to go back to the phones here to Pat in Fort Worth. Aloha, Pat. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
What's on your mind?
Several things. I've been raking leaves, and that kind of clears your mind. It's cool here.
Yep.
I was listening to Rush, and he was telling some truth about the pilgrims this morning, how actually they tried socialism, and it wasn't work. They were starving, and so they had to Yeah, I guess everybody knows that, but it's probably not taught in school. Indians
No,
saved
it's
their
not
lives.
taught that way in school.
Yeah, but another thing too, Christopher Columbus. You know that he knew he was on a mission of God, and I don't know if he told the Spaniards that, but he wrote a diary. It was all in Spanish. It was translated by, you know, but it was translated by Peter Marshall. His mom is a famous author, and a whole church actually translated, but he's the author of the book. And he definitely knew he was on a mission of God. So, you know, he wasn't lost. Well, anyway, and another thing I wanted to tell you about a couple of my friends. I'm promoting the Bible because if you want to know God, you read his book, right? He reads about the author. I have a missionary friend, BBC brought that up. He was in London and he was Africa and all kind of places. But all of a sudden, BBC got interested in his daughter because she could read perfectly at the age of 5. And they said, well, what is your favorite book? They did a program, and she said, the Bible. I said, oh, I'm so glad I gave her that pretty Bible. But not that she didn't know it already. But another missionary friend of ours to Mexico, they were down there for several years, and they came up here. They had a little boy who was 7, and he went to public school. And they said, can you read it? He said, no, ma'am. And she said, well, read this. And he read it perfectly. She said, well, I thought you couldn't read. He said, I thought I could only read the Bible. I thought that was pretty good. So it can be done out there. I mean, if we had the Bible in school, people would understand a lot of things like, what is Noah's Ark? Who was David and Goliath and all that? We really needed to. In Texas, you can do it.
Okay, I have to take issue with you on that subject. I mean, there are already places where those who are interested in the Bible can go and learn about it. They're called churches, and they enjoy a tax-free existence in order to keep them, with the doors open on what gets tossed into the collection plate. Some churches are actually quite wealthy, but schools, were originally set up following the Prussian model to basically train the general population, the next generation, to be useful to society in terms of having basic job skills and hopefully a good work ethic. And the founding fathers were very correct in their desire to let religion be over here and let education be over here and not let them get split up. Anyway, listen, Pat, got to take a break for station identification. Thank you for the phone call, and we'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. And getting on back to the news here, we're talking about the news media. Now, progressive journalist Michael Tracey claimed Tuesday that MSNBC has dropped all pretenses for the contempt toward Representative Tulsi Gabbard. And the political news contributor said the left-leaning network has treated her fellow 2020 Democratic candidates, including Andrew Yang and Bernie Sanders, unfairly, but said with Gabbard, it crosses a certain threshold. And so there is somebody out there in the power structure that wants Gabbard gone. And I agree with my callers who are saying right now that Hillary Clinton doesn't want to have to run against Gabbard in the primaries if Hillary decides to step on in. So anyway, all right, talking about the international news here, Iran is starting to bristle a little bit at the unfair treatment they have received from the United States. And apparently Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif gave a speech at the annual Astana Club meeting in Nur-Sultan, Kazakhstan, and basically delivered this searing account, if you will, of Iranian-American relations, and pointed out basically that Iran kept all of its commitments under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and the joint, well, the P5+1 deal. And Zarif was the main speaker in a panel titled "The New Concept of Nuclear Disarmament," and was on a very tight schedule. He basically rushed in and out of the round table to squeeze in a private conversation with Kazakh First President Nursultan Nazarbayev. And during the panel, moderator Jonathan Granoff, president of the Global Security Institute, managed to keep a Pentagon analyst questioning of Zafir from turning into a shouting match. They don't want this guy getting his message out there. But what it really comes on down to is Zarif came on out, was very forceful, and stressed how Iran had complied with every agreement, and it got nothing. And the Iranian people believe we have not gained from being part of the JCPOA. Inflation is out of control because of all the sanctions placed on Iran by the United States. The value of the rial has dropped 70% because of coercive measures, not sanctions, because those are actually illegal. And he impressed everybody by speaking without notes. So he's obviously studied the situation, and he knows what he's talking about. So he was saying that Zarif stressed how from 2003 to 2012, Iran was under the most severe UN sanctions ever imposed on any country that did not have nuclear weapons. Sanctions imposed on Iran were greater than the sanctions that were imposed on North Korea, which does have nuclear weapons. So he's basically out there, he's sending a signal. Iran has reached breaking point, which is why they're starting to talk about upping the enrichment, basically walking away from the P5+1 deal, which isn't really a deal because Donald Trump unilaterally walked away from the agreement a while back, and the European nations weren't able to step on in and help Iran against the U.S. sanctions. Partly, Zarif said, the problem is there is no sunset to the demands being made by the United States, which means Iran would have to commit to not producing nuclear weapons ever again. and as the world gets more dangerous, Iran is under threat. I think Iran would be perfectly justified in building nuclear weapons. So we had this little Bex alert that came on out. This is from Zero Hedge. And it's out there saying Iran to have nuclear bomb in a few months. And the Iranian government is shortening its nuclear breakout time, the amount of time required to produce enough weapons-grade uranium for a single nuclear weapon. And Tehran has accomplished this through several steps in the last few months. Now, I'm calling Bex on this one because for 30 years, we have been told by the US government, by the Israeli government, by the corporate media that Iran was just a few months away from a nuclear weapon. And it hasn't happened. Iran underwent inspections by the IAEA, who found no evidence of other than peaceful uses of nuclear technology, which Iran is allowed to have under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So they're out there now trying to say Iran's the new boogeyman. Iran is building a nuclear weapon. We have to send your children there to deal with that. It's another lie. It's another war-starting lie, okay? We're going to take a moment to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. And we're going to take a phone call from Tony in Puerto Rico. Aloha, Tony. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hello, Mike. I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Be careful tomorrow. I have a really, really deep fear, Mike, that somebody's going to explode a false flag, a small tactical nuke in New York City. I just have that fear, Mike. They might happen tomorrow. And they're going to blame it on Iran.
Well, first of all, nobody's documented that Iran has a nuclear weapon. And playing along with the claim they're making that Iran could produce a single nuclear weapon in a few months, what would they do with it? March it down the street in a military parade and say, look at us, we're Butch, put it in a museum somewhere. A single nuclear weapon is really not of much use unless you're being invaded. Now, that, of course, is the reason to have both nuclear and chemical weapons. And by the way, the United States is the only nation that still has both. So you're right. There could be a false flag. Something could happen that they're going to blame on Iran. And the first thing people ought to do is say, why would Iran do this? Iran is trying to avoid being invaded. They have been playing it very cool all along. And they know the last thing that they should do is any kind of an attack on the United States, because that would justify the United States in launching the war against Iran that clearly they are intent on doing. So they could do something non-nuclear as a false flag, that Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade or the football games, those are ripe targets. But again, if something does happen tomorrow, it's not Iran. It's not going to be Iran. It's going to be another ginned up false flag. Tony, are you there? He dropped. Okay. All right. Let's see. Send a quick little message to our control room. All right, getting on back to the news here. Now, Iran is developing conventional weapons. And basically, ever since the embargo following the 1979 Iranian Revolution, Iran has developed the capability of building their own weapons platforms. And right now they're in the middle of deploying new stealth destroyers that will carry cruise missiles. They have vertical launch tubes, and they've got 3 destroyers already out there, and they're working on their 4th. Now, up in Ukraine, the Ukrainian forces have shelled the Lugansk People's Republic territory 3 times in the last 24 hours. And LPR's representative at the Joint Center of Control and Coordination basically gave out this information earlier today. The settlements of Donetsk, Zelibok, and Lagvinov came under fire, and the Ukrainian forces were using mortars, grenade launchers, and large caliber small arms. And basically, at the contact group meeting in Minsk on July 17th, an agreement was reached on establishing a comprehensive and indefinite ceasefire regime in Donbass starting on July 21st. However, the Ukrainian forces violated the ceasefire regime in less than 24 hours, shelling the town of Pervomaisk. All right. So everybody's shooting at everybody. It really is. And everybody's building new weapons. Russia's latest and greatest hypersonic missile systems will go into active combat duty within weeks. These things are very fast, very deadly, and almost impossible to stop. All Russia needs to do is salvo a bunch of them at a target, and most of them will get through. Now, there's a new report out there that the new Chinese long-range anti-ship missiles are outclassing the U.S. radars. And basically, China is looking at the ocean battlefield, and they're realizing that there are 2 factors that are paramount for a weapon system. One is range, and the other, obviously, is speed. And the problem with China's new missiles, they're very hard to detect on radar, and the Navy is screaming they need new radar systems. They took the lesson from the Falkland Islands Wars, that the Royal Navy ships, and by the way, Britain lost 4 of them, including the HMS Sheffield, which was one of their top-of-the-line ships. Their radars couldn't detect the incoming aircraft until the aircraft were literally at firing range. Over in Berlin, Germany, there was a massive protest where 5,000 tractors, farm tractors, descended on Berlin. This happened yesterday to protest the government's latest agricultural policies and environmental protection regulations, which farmers claim are too restrictive. And so they basically drove into the city with these 5,000 tractors, 10,000 farmers, and it was this slow-moving convoy because tractors don't go fast. They're not designed to go fast. And they basically gathered at the Brandenburg Gate, which, if you look at a map of Berlin, it's not just a gate sitting there in the middle of nowhere. It basically is in the middle of this traffic ring that is a major hub for the city. A lot of roads are coming in and out of there. So they basically shut the city down. Now, the issue are regulations passed by Angela Merkel's government to limit the use of pesticides out of concern that certain species of insects were being driven to extinction. A lot of people are going to say, well, who cares about a bunch of dead bugs? It is a little more complex than that. And I'm not making excuses for Angela Merkel, but I understand the thinking behind this move. There are bird species which feed on specific species of insects. And I'm sure if that species of insects goes away, they'll switch to something else. But that was the concern, that basically could lead to a collapse of a segment of the food chain. And we even hear about it here in the United States of America, where certain species of insects are all but gone, and bird populations, as a result, are in decline. The other regulation that they're concerned about is limiting the use of fertilizers out of concern that the runoff from the farmlands is taking the fertilizer into natural bodies of water, lakes, streams, which downstream are used for drinking water. That also is a legitimate, valid concern. That is also something that happens here in the United States. But the farmers are saying that this is putting too much of a burden on them. And so they're getting very, very, it's getting very, very tense. Over in Israel, they have carried out fresh airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, claiming that there was a rocket fired from Gaza into southern Israel. No injuries were reported, as usual. And the strikes came after the Israeli army attacked a number of Hamas sites in southern Gaza Strip after 2 rockets were supposedly fired from the enclave into southern Israel. And they're claiming that they targeted the factories where the missiles are being built. And yet Gaza always has more missiles, which means either the Israelis are working from faulty intelligence and they're blowing up empty buildings. Think about trying to find Saddam's nuclear weapons. Think the Green Zone. Or the Israeli pilots just really aren't all that good, even with the latest and greatest U.S. equipment. But what's really going on here is that Netanyahu is desperate to cling to power, and he figures a little blood on the ground is going to work in his favor. Now, head of Israel Beltanu Party, Avigdor Lieberman, stressed on Monday that he would reject holding a Knesset committee meeting to discuss providing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu immunity. So Lieberman, who's never been close to Netanyahu, who's basically giving him the finger and saying, you're on your own. You're going to have to deal with this. Now, Netanyahu came back and said he doesn't need immunity, saying that a court decision would be the only thing that would be accepted by all citizens. And he's certainly right about that. There's another article, and this is a little bit of a concern. This is from uns.com. Is Netanyahu ready to inflame war to escape his legal trouble? Well, there's no question that he's going to bomb Gaza, he's going to bomb Syria, he's going to bomb maybe Lebanon to try and impress the Israeli people into putting pressure on the Knesset to keep him as prime minister. Because remember that last election, nobody won it. And Netanyahu somehow wrangled the position of being the caretaker prime minister. He wants to turn it back into being, a full-term job, as it were. And so basically, Israeli commentators are saying there's a possibility of a civil war. Netanyahu decides to whip up his far-right supporters into a frenzy of outrage. They'll do it. After 10 years in power, Netanyahu has developed an almost cult-like status among sections of the public. And yes, Netanyahu is the sort of guy who would let his own citizens kill and die so that he can hang on to power and stay out of the courtroom. Right now, Israel's facing a constitutional crisis because never before in Israel's history has a sitting prime minister been charged with crimes. Now, there was one other prime minister who was hit with a corruption charge, but only after he left office. Story coming out of Mondoweiss saying the root cause of all the conflicts is the Israel lobby. And they're pointing the finger at Sheldon Adelson, who for 20 years has been pouring money into Republican politics to prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state. And so far, he has succeeded. All right, we're going to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Don't regret growing old. it's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about the root cause of the conflict is the Israel lobby. And apparently, according to this article in Mondo Weiss, the Israel lobby primarily consists of Sheldon Adelson, casino owner, billionaire, and for 20 years he's been pouring money into Republican politics to basically control the party. And Trump has proven to be Adelson's perfect little puppet, and basically giving this casino mogul everything on his wish list, from recognition of Jerusalem as the capital, to recognizing the Golan annexation, to tearing up the Iran deal. And more recently, this declaration that the settlements in the West Bank, the occupied territories, really aren't a violation of international law. Which, first of all, Trump is wrong on that, and he certainly doesn't have the authority to go out and tell the rest of the world, well, you know, in this one case, we're going to make an exception. In the case of Israel, we have to make exceptions and allowances here. Okay, so Patriots owner, the New England Patriots owner, Robert Kraft, won the 2019 Genesis Prize at the beginning of the year, receiving a $1 million reward given annually to Jewish individuals who have attained excellence and international renown in their chosen professional fields. Now, at the award ceremony in June, the prize was presented by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who's a longtime friend of Kraft. And in his acceptance speech, Kraft told the audience he was going to use the prize money, along with some that he was going to throw in of his own, to combat anti-Semitism and BDS. Okay. Donald Trump has come on out saying that he wants to declare drug cartels as terror groups, specifically the ones in Mexico. And he says he's been working on this for about a month and a half. Closer to 3 months. And which means, if he's telling the truth, that he started this before these cartel people murdered that family of Mormons, which appears to have been a dispute over smuggling routes. But if Trump is able to declare the cartels terror groups, it legally opens up the option for American cross-border attacks on cartel infrastructure and cartel personnel. And Trump even made mention about drone strikes. So Mexico is not happy about that. And so this could seriously disrupt commerce between American and Mexican companies. All right, apparently Ted Cruz has caught the ire of China, so-called Taiwan Act. And there's, first of all, the idea of supporting Taiwan. The U.S. is mulling giving its official blessing to the Hong Kong protesters. And all of this activity, including what's going on in the South China Sea, has basically put a huge strain on the U.S.-China relationship that cannot be ignored anymore. So maybe the attitude in Washington, D.C. is we need an enemy that will scare the American people into obedience, and we need another war to justify increased taxation and military spending. But if they start a war with Russia or China, they might actually see the other country come on in. And while it's very doubtful that the United States could prevail in a conventional war against Russia or China, against both of them, no. Couldn't happen. And then they're going to go to the nuclear weapons here. All right, let's talk about the economic news here for a little bit. Apparently, more than half of China's banks failed a central bank stress test. And bailouts are becoming more common. There have been 2 bank runs now. Banks seem to be caught in a doom loop. And Beijing is probably going to say this is due to outside American influence and the tariffs. I'd certainly be right on that one. Absolutely would be right on that one. All right, we're coming up here on another commercial break. Phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. You still have time to call on in and tell us what you're thankful for this Thanksgiving. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs, memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. And we're talking about the economic news. And there's this very enlightening article that came out of Global Research up in Canada, and they do a lot of really good work there. And it's titled How Billionaires Become Billionaires. And it says, contrary to the propaganda pushed by the business press, once you're above a certain level of income, you don't even really have to do all that much work. And here in the United States, between 67% and 72% of corporations had zero tax liabilities after credits and exemptions. One of the reasons why the tax code is so huge and obfuscated is it's full of favors that members of Congress have put through to repay their donors. And so there's a lot of corporations that get very favorable tax treatment. Meanwhile, ordinary workers, employees, are paying between 25 and 30% in taxes. Now, according to the IRS, billionaire tax evasion amounts to $458 billion in lost public revenues every year, which the Pentagon would go through in just a couple of weeks here. So that's almost $1 trillion every 2 years by this estimate. Largest U.S. corporations have sheltered over $2.5 trillion in overseas tax havens where they pay no taxes or single-digit tax rates. Meanwhile, U.S. corporations that get into trouble received over $14 trillion in bailout money, again, mostly coming from the U.S. taxpayers, or overwhelmingly workers, employees, and pensioners. So that's how the game is played here. Now, this next story is kind of interesting because apparently there's this senior ex-Deutsche Bank executive linked to millions in Donald Trump loans commits suicide. Now, Deutsche Bank has got a really bad reputation. Over the last several years, they've had a large number of suicides, and they all seem to be people that were involved in this foreign money manipulation. So currently, Thomas Bowers, a former Deutsche Bank executive and head of the bank's U.S. Private Wealth Management Division, the group that caters to the ultra-wealthy clients, supposedly killed himself by hanging in his Malibu residence last Tuesday. The most remarkable thing is, according to a March 2019 report by David Enrich, Bowers was boss to Trump's personal banker, Rosemary Vrabic, who, according to the New York Times report, helped steer more than $300 million in loans to Donald Trump in the years before he was elected president. So banking is becoming a very, very dangerous line of work to be in, especially if you have some kind of ethics or moral code. There's another article out here that's also from Global Research, and it's talking about the Federal Reserve cartel, because the Federal Reserve is owned basically by 8 families, and they pulled a fast one on the U.S. government and the American people when the Federal Reserve was created a little over 100 years ago, because they basically said, we're going to have the power to create money out of thin air and loan it out. And the first thing they did when they got the bank started was they just created a whole bunch of money for themselves and turned around and bought controlling interest in the Federal Reserve System. And right now, according to the company 10K filings to the SEC, these 4 horsemen of banking, if you will, are among the top 10 stockholders of virtually every Fortune 500 corporation. So we've often said, why aren't they being audited? They're sucking huge amounts of wealth out of the pockets of the American people. And now we find out they're buying up the country. Now, here's where it gets kind of weird. Who are the stockholders in these money center banks? And that information is very tightly guarded. And apparently the author of this article filed Freedom of Information Act requests for this information and was granted Freedom of Information Act status, meaning the banks had to turn over this information. And then the U.S. government stepped in and stopped the release on national security grounds, which is kind of weird when you realize that many of the bank's stockholders reside in Europe. So there's something going on with the Federal Reserve that the U.S. government doesn't want you to know about. CBS is reporting that 70% of all Americans are struggling financially. And This while Donald Trump is touting a great economy. The situation is precipitous and ultimately will affect everyone. I mean, we're getting into the holiday shopping season and we're seeing iconic retailers simply fold up. Business is just shutting down here. So a survey of more than 5,400 Americans shows that 70% of Americans are struggling financially. 20% of middle-class workers are spending more than they earn. They're having to literally live on their credit cards. And even though the U.S. economy supposedly grew this year, 40% of Americans have difficulty paying for even basic needs such as groceries or housing. That was certainly the case when Claire and I were living in Hawaii, and it's one of the reasons why we moved to Indiana. Costs are much, much lower. It's still high for everybody. It's way too high. There's this author, Umberto Eco, and he wrote two relatively famous books, Foucault's Pendulum and The Name of the Rose. The latter was made into a movie starring Sean Connery. And in it, there's this wonderful quote, "The poor are always made to pay for all." It's absolutely, absolutely true. All right, we're going to take a phone call. Jennifer in Grand Junction, Colorado. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
This is Owen. Jennifer's my wife. She called because you wanted to know what we were thankful for, and well, we've listened to you for quite a few years, and but when you guys always say that Trump hasn't really done much, we're kind of thankful for the bathroom bill being reversed because we kind of like normalcy, you know. And the other thing we're thankful for is Giuliani and Trump. I mean, I hope they get it. I hope they get the swamp drain. I really do. Yeah, Jennifer says she loves you.
Oh, well, thank you. We love her too. We love all of our audience. And my concern is that Americans are coming to accept the current situation as the new normal. And for young people, that's probably an easy assumption for them to make. But if you are my AGE, you remember a time when things were vastly different and it was a lot easier to make a living. Things weren't as expensive. You could build and plan for the future instead of just living day to day to day. And people have to stop that survival mentality and start thinking about taking another step up on Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah. I mean, the thing because I'm a custodian by trade, and that bathroom bill was a big deal to me, and I still think that whoever's going into the White House after Trump should keep the regular rules of bathroom, because that would have just turned everything up on its head.
Okay, well, I'm not really familiar with the bathroom bill.
Oh, well, they were just going to let, if you think you're a woman, you can go in the ladies' room at Target.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, thanks a lot, Mike. We really love your show and appreciate all you do. Keep up the good work, and God bless you and your family, and have a wonderful holiday.
Same to you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, good day. Good day to you, and aloha. Yeah, Michael, I got a bunch of good stuff to tell you. First off, I did went to a rally yesterday in Sunrise, Florida. There was 23,000 people in that arena. I was about 12 feet from the president, and I can tell you it was a great rally. And the main thing I'm thankful for is he's bringing up the word Thanksgiving. He's bringing up the word Thanksgiving, and to me that was a wonderful thing that he's talking about. He saved Christmas, and he saved Thanksgiving. So that's what I'm thankful for. We have a president like that. And getting back to doom and gloom, Dustin, every time he calls your show, it's Trump hasn't done nothing. Well, he's done a lot, Michael. Like you were just talking a couple of minutes ago about going after the cartels, designated him as a terrorist organization. Yes, Trump has done a lot more than any other president that I can say in my lifetime. And I'm sure in your lifetime. I mean, Reagan did some good stuff, but nothing what Trump's doing. Nothing that Trump's had to face with these demon rats. And Mike, I'd like to tell you one thing. That rally was amazing. But outside, Michael, I want you to know, and I want Dustin to know, and everybody who listens to your show, there were young 15 and 14-year-old girls in that rally, Michael, walking around with F-U-C-K signs of Donald Trump. 14, 15-year-old demon rats. They say Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz was there, but I didn't see her because if I would have been there, I would have gave her a piece of my mind. But they had like 15, 20 young teenage girls walking around with signs, and even younger, walking around all kinds of filthy signs about our president, the president of the United States. It was utterly disgusting. But let me tell you, Michael, for every one of them, there was 50 of us. Okay? That's how it was. 50 to 100 of us. And I can tell you, you know, we're talking about Trump doesn't do nothing. Trump's done a lot, man. Come on. We're the best economy you ever had, Dustin. What are you talking about? Dustin, you're not happy because you're living in the States getting taxed and murdered to death as far as where you're living. The tax in New York. Like I say, take all these illegals. Let's ship them right into New York. Put them right into New Jersey. Let's take them all the way up to the New England states and get them out of Texas, and let's get them out of California and New Arizona. We'll see how great this country really will be. Take every one of the illegals who do not want to learn to speak English. They don't care about this country. They only care about the annihilation of it. And the demon rats, Trump was absolutely right. The speech he gave last night was spectacular. I can tell you that, Michael. It was spectacular if you had been there in person. You don't know what you don't even know Donald Trump until you're in a rally. Then you really feel the presence and the power of the president. Because let me tell you, Ron DeSantis introduced him. And when Ron DeSantis introduced Trump, he's a new Florida resident. And one thing DeSantis said to everybody who had them all on their feet was he said, we're not going to be paying tax like he was paying in New York and New Jersey. He's not going to get crippled by the tax he's got to pay up in there. That's why Donald Trump's a new citizen. He could have Thanksgiving in Mar-a-Lago. Because we don't want, why are you paying all these taxes, Michael, for all these illegals to come here, have better health care, schooling, college education than American citizens? These families been here for hundreds of years. This is bullcrap. No, like Trump said,
I agree. We have you know, homeless veterans on the streets, and a lot of them are going to freeze to death this winter.
That's correct. And let me tell you, Trump's addressing that because Trump's rally was just absolutely amazing. It was mesmerizing because he was telling the Americans that were in that arena, we're not going to take it no more. We're not going to be second fiddle to anybody. We're not going to allow China to rape us. We're not going to allow Russia to rape us. We're going to start taking care of Americans first. And the Europeans are going to pay up for NATO, and they're going to pay up what they owe. Trump's already, like he said, he's bringing in multiple billions of dollars. He's going to try to bring in trillions of dollars for this nonsense we're paying all these. Yes, Michael, there is a big Zionist influence in this country without question. They're not even, 2% of the population. They're controlling the media. They control the wealth. And, you know, it's funny, they had an interview with Ted Turner the other day. Did you happen to see that on Newsmax?
No, I didn't.
Well, he says the ultra liberal with Hanoi Jane. But this Ted Turner guy lives in Wyoming on a giant spread, 1,500-acre spread. He sits on his porch and rocks out, and he looks at all the buffalo walk by. And I'm saying, here's a guy who's an ultra-leftist commie sympathizer, but he wants to live out on a ranch in Wyoming where it's a conservative state, and you had all these ranchers that have these giant ranches, and you can watch the buffalo and the deers and all that go by. And I'm saying, well, you talk about a hypocrite. That Ted Turner's one hypocrite. He wants to promote all this licky-kissy communist nonsense, but he wants to live in a real cowboy way with the white Anglos who settled the West. I mean, you talk about hypocritical. You need to watch that documentary about Ted Turner. And he has a thing it says, bumper sticker says, save everything. Save everything? What are you talking about, Ted? You can't save everything. You want to try to save everything which is good. But when it's bad, you don't want to save everything that's bad. I mean, you know, this guy's a real hypocrite, Turner. But, you know, every time Dustin calls in, it's like Trump hasn't done nothing. Trump's not. Michael, he has done something. He has to be. You know, Mike, when you're in that presence and you see the stress that president is under, that job, what it demands, just the mere fact to be a president of the United States it's over. Most people it's incomprehensible. To tell you the truth, it's really all the negatives that get shot at him. No matter what he does, if he gave everybody $1 million, they still attack him. Michael, by the way, he's got 30. According to Breitbart and Drudge, he's got 33%, 34% of the black vote right now. But they said if he gets 15% of the black vote, he wins in a landslide. And you know what? Why wouldn't the blacks vote for him? What do they got to lose? What do they have? What have they had under 70 years of Democratic rule, Michael? Look at Detroit. Look at all the cities. Baltimore. Look at Chicago. Come on. What has the Democrats ever done for them? And you're going to have that guy Lenny calling in and saying, oh, you know, Lenny, call on in and tell me what any other Democrat has done for the Afro-American community compared to Donald Trump? I want to hear his answer. I want to hear his reply. Because
Okay.
Trump has done a lot. Trump has done a lot for everybody, no matter what nationality, because he's made the economy the strongest I can remember. Matter of fact, here in Miami right now, gas is at $2.23 a gallon for regular. And up in the middle of the state, it's like $2.15, $2.13 a gallon.
Yes.
I don't remember that under Obama. I don't remember that, Michael. Okay? I have not remembered that. And I tell you, like I said, Sunrise Arena, when they had the rally last night, there was at least 23 to 25,000. There must have been another 3,000 or 4,000 outside.
Yeah, I saw some photos from it. All right, so Tom, I got to let you go. We got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Ann, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink for a gentle, taste great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to getthetea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. Getthetea.com, the tea that makes you go.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And I'm already getting email commentary on Tom's phone call. And I'm going to read two of them. No, Tom from Florida is wrong. Trump has not done a lot. He just talks a good game. Trump has said a lot, and being influenced by a cheering crowd of unthinking people who are there for the sole purpose of being enamored by the star power of someone, whether it be a celebrity or a politician or even better, a president, is not a sign of discernment. And then the other email that came on in had some poll results. Apparently 44% of New Jerseyans are planning to leave the state. So that's how bad things are there. Maybe we can put a wall around it and dump all the illegals in there. All righty, so getting on back to the news here, we're going to talk about, well, first of all, Brexit. And the latest YouGov poll was conducted between November 25th to 26th and gives the Tories an 11-point lead over the Labour Party. And apparently the public is turning on Swinson following this disastrous BBC QT outing. And so basically, 11-point lead, that is really significant here. And I'm sure Boris Johnson is very pleased about that one. And apparently, Jeremy Corbyn's interview on the BBC turned out to be an epic disaster. And it was so bad that even before it aired, Labour Party chiefs were in a panic and literally sent out messages on WhatsApp to all of Corbyn's supporters to flood all the hashtags on social media with positive messages in anticipation that people, ordinary people, were just going to, rip that interview to shreds. But it was a terrible, terrible interview, and it looks like, Corbyn is going down and Boris is going up. All righty, we've got callers on the line here. We're going to go to Don in Arizona. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, Mike, as far as Donald Trump, one thing he does behind the scenes that is not reported on very much, but he has appointed a lot of federal judges. He's appointed the third most federal judges through October 1st of a president's third year. So he's appointed 43 judges.
Yeah.
And this is important. This is something we don't hear about. We don't think about a lot, but these Democrats, the liberals, they appoint judges that really do not believe in the United States Constitution. They want to ignore
look at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Yeah, that one, for example. So this is very important. And what I'm trying to say is, yeah, you can say you don't like Trump, and for one reason or another, and he's hard to figure out. I admit that. I don't understand why he will not pardon his friends. Instead, he pardons these war criminals. But still, the big deal is the judges. That's enough to vote for him right there. I'll let you
Okay,
go.
Don, we're going to have to take a break for station identification. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to come on back, and we're going to break our one call per caller per day rule. Dustin wants to respond, and so we'll do that as soon as we come back from these commercials.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. And normally we have this rule, one call per caller per day. But Dustin from New Jersey called back in and wanted to respond. So Dustin, I'm first of all going to wag my finger at you for breaking the rules. And second of all, please keep it short and polite.
Well, first of all, Tom, have a good Thanksgiving. And second of all, Tom, you're wrong on the economy. If you do any basic research on the economy, just because Trump says, because it seems like he's just regurgitating what Trump says. We got the greatest economy. If the economy's so great, why is AC Moore closing all his stores, Payless, and Dress Barn? Why is the Federal Reserve pumping liquidity into the banking system? I wonder if anybody can call in and respond to those, because that's part of what's going on. You know, you just can't say the economy's doing good because the stock market's up. You know, what's the GDP? 1.5%? That's not good. You know, and like nobody mentions these numbers like you, Mike. I mean, nobody's calling in responding to these numbers. Well, the economy's good because, you know, the stock market's up. That's meaningless. The stock market being up doesn't mean anything because the companies are buying their own stocks back. That's what's raising their value. That's it. Just like that's why you got so many homeless people in the cities, because the rents are so high because the value of those properties have gone up. It's very simple if you do any research on stuff. And like in terms of like the rallies, yeah, so what? Doesn't mean, I mean, I want to respond to the emails you got. Doesn't make people stupid. It's just people want to believe in like stuff getting fixed. You know, they have the hope because everybody had the hope with Obama, but he had hope and change, you know, and that didn't work out. So I'm just warning people, you know, don't get your hopes up on Trump either. And that's all I got to say, Mike. Have a good holiday.
All right, same to you. Happy Turkey Days. And again, the phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Talking about immigration here, there's been another incident, and apparently it is not unique. Apparently in Belgium, a trucker was attacked by a gang of African migrant men with machetes. And apparently there was at least 12 migrant men. They attacked a truck driver with machetes, spears, and metal rods while he slept at an E40 motorway parking lot in Welschutem, Belgium. And the Romanian truck driver told police he was fast asleep inside the vehicle, parked at the rest stop, when he was awakened by rustling noises coming from the trailer. And as he peeked outside to investigate, he was attacked by these 12 African migrants who forced him to flee back inside of his vehicle after they attacked him with weapons. So they attacked him with spears, rods, and machetes. Here's the problem. The local police have had such cutbacks on their budget. They only had one patrol car in a position to be able to respond. And there wasn't, they were understandably reluctant to get on out and get into a melee, even though they're armed. But the nearest backup unit was something like 65 kilometers away. All righty, we have more callers on the line here. Sebastian in Sweden, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. I just want to talk about Greta Thunberg. Now
Yes.
they're going to start teaching her in the years 7 to 9, which is approximately junior high school in America. And they're going to teach her as sort of and it's going to be in the religion studies. In that section, they're going to teach about being a climate prophet. Can you imagine that in the schools? They're going to start teaching, putting her in the classes of religion.
Well, we've been hearing that from a lot of the global warming fanatics. Don't look at the science and the facts. Just believe us. Believe that we have been touched by the spirits and given divine knowledge that the world is warming. And by the way, it isn't. Finally, a set of raw temperature data was made public. We're going to talk about that later in the show. And no, the world is not getting warmer. To nobody's surprise who's looking out the window, it's getting colder. I mean, it's below freezing right now here in Indiana. So
we have freezing here as well.
They're treating it like it's a religion.
I want to talk about Joe, the New Yorker that moved to Tennessee.
Yes.
I just want to say something about him that what he said yesterday. I got it later on a podcast about PC. It was priceless. It was the best thing I've heard about PC. I talked to my friend in Stockholm about it, and it was just great. So I hope hope everyone at RBN has a nice, happy Thanksgiving. And I hope Joe doesn't watch these gloom and doom movies all holiday. But it was priceless what he said about PC. It's that's all I have to say, Mike. Take care.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot here. We're going to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates who are rejoining the network. I mean, if you really want to know what nuclear war is like, I mean, first of all, there's a problem. The only people who have seen an actual nuclear explosion, there's very few of them. And because of the size and power of a nuclear weapon, it's very hard to bring it down to a small screen, even in a movie theater. And so most people who've never witnessed a nuclear explosion, they just can't grasp how incredibly powerful and destructive it is. And I mean, radiation from those specific tests is still floating around in the atmosphere all these years later. Anyway, I just got a text message, 16 inches in northern Colorado, 3 to 5 foot drifts. Yep, global warming there. Okay, let's go back to the phones here to Chance in West Virginia. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Listen, if the economy is doing so great, why is U.S. consumer debt now totaling over $14 trillion?
It's people are literally living on their credit cards because the cost of living is now more than they make. After the taxes are taken out, there's very little left of your paycheck. And
well, then the economy's not doing that great, is it? Then I mean,
well, it's doing really great for the billionaires at the top. It's doing great for people like Sheldon Adelson, but for ordinary Americans, times are very, very hard.
All the rhetoric, it's all talk and no action. It's like comparing to somebody who tells you they love you or they show you they love you. I like to make that comparison when it comes to this rhetoric that spews from the mouth of this president. Okay, Mike, thank you very much. Have a nice holiday.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to James in Tokyo. Aloha, James. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you, Claire, and all members of your audience, including the gloom and doomer, Trump and American basher, Dustin from New Jersey. I totally agree with what Thomas said. Trump is the best president in my entire lifetime. When Dustin talks about the GDP and just up 1.9% or something, that was just only in the third quarter of this year in 2019. And over 8 million jobs have been created since Trump took office. There are more job seekers now than job openings, so people can change jobs. Trump has reduced regulations in numerous industries, which, as Tom said, gas is pretty cheap in Florida. Well, one of the reasons is because Trump reduced ethanol requirements in gasoline for the smaller refineries, which first allowed them to survive and help many communities in America keep their gas prices low. As another caller mentioned, he got a lot of federal judgeships, which is, I think, important for the future of America. Dustin once said that Trump is a warmonger. Well, he's never got us into a new war. People are already in Syria. He did lop off a few cruise missiles that didn't kill one person on some bases that weren't even used, that were rebuilt in a day, and that some people say were
James.
Yes.
I think Dustin's comment is over the fact that Trump campaigned on getting out of these wars, not plunging us in deeper.
Been doing. He hasn't. He's been reducing the number of people in Syria. He
just sent them all back in.
People guarding the oil. Well, except for the people, guarding the oil field.
No, he sent the American forces back in to fight against ISIS.
Well, if there are pockets of ISIS that are still causing problems, that's good. Because it's going to prevent more
here is
spreading in the region.
That Trump made the announcement that he was going to pull our troops out of Syria. It didn't happen. He moved them around, and now they're going back on in. And so there's a major disconnect between what Trump is saying and what he's doing.
Now than when he took office. There are less troops there now than when he took office. There are less troops now in Afghanistan than when he took office. You don't see him starting to escalate troops all over the world. In addition, he's trying to eliminate that. He's trying to eliminate the cost of NATO, which has been bilking America for I don't even know how much money since it was created. And he's also worked very hard on improving trade agreements. He got us out of the TPP, he got us out of the Paris Climate Accord agreement, which would have an additional tax on Americans. And furthermore, he reduced taxes on Americans, where I don't know if I take Trump's figures, but the taxes are significantly reduced. The stock market is
but only for the people at the top. The Trump GOP tax.
I'm not on the top. I'm not on the top, and I'm able to basically retire off my income from my stocks. And I'm not on the top. I never made over six figures in my life. I'm an average guy who saved my money. Now, Dustin, he lives in a place like, in New Jersey. It's a very expensive place. It's like New York, where I grew up, or California, where, the rents are high. And, you could have people making six figures in these democratic places where it's just very hard to live, even making that kind of money. Like a studio apartment in New York City, that's like $3,000 a month. It's very expensive.
Yes.
And so you got to make a lot of money. And so you really can't afford. So I think a lot of the benefits that Trump has done is just passing Dustin by. And because of where he's living. I think maybe if he became your neighbor, he'd have a lot easier life, or actually even go back to Ukraine. I actually think Ukraine is a great place. I went there. I think it's beautiful, it's cheap, and the best woman in the world. So you might even enjoy, going back there too.
Okay, well,
that's all I have to say.
Ukraine seems to be heading back into open warfare.
And I wish you would. I wish you would keep to that rule of only having him call one time, because he breaks that rule pretty much every day, and other people do not break that rule. And when he calls back in to respond, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't really say anything more of substance. Just like nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. You don't need to hear that twice. I mean, if it's something real substantive, or can argue different points that Tom or someone else would make, would be much more interesting. But just to hear like a broken record of American Trump bashing twice a day is too much. Once a day, I enjoy it. But everybody, I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you enjoy it, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And we're going to switch over to Laura in Michigan. Aloha, Laura. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mike. I just want to talk about Trump rallies. The reason people need to study the brain, there's something in their brain called dopamine. And when Trump speaks, he's talking about everything that the people want. And they hear that part. And that releases the dopamine. That's why they get so excited at the rallies. They start chanting and everything. You really need to check into this dopamine stuff.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Huh?
It's part of the it's part of the mass experience here. It's what drives audiences crazy at rock concerts. And yes, politicians use it at their rallies. And if you are able to get that flowing in the audience, then you've got them. And Trump gives very good speeches.
You're
He's really good at campaigning.
Yes, you're exactly right. And that's because I was trying to find out, I think of myself, why these people are so excited when he goes the opposite way once he's off the podium. And that's it. It's the dopamine that's got the people. They've got to get control of their emotions and go with facts and truth, what is actually happening, and get off the dopamine. So that's all I had to say, really. I just want to kind of inform people about that.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that information, and have a happy Thanksgiving. And we're going to switch over to Lenny in California. Lenny, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, Tom begging me to call in. His wish is granted. When he called in last week, he posed a question to you, did he not? That if there were two NFLs, one black and one white, the black one would fold. I simply called in and posed a question to him, since neither the blacks own the NFL nor the whites own the NFL, which one would fall? And I said both of them. All right, since neither one of us own anything, Tom, okay, we are not in a position to demand nothing from one another. We, on the other hand, are not in a position to grant each other anything. You see where I'm coming from, Tom? All right, but I just simply asked the question, which, you know, when you said, I want Lenny call in, but you didn't say why, you muttered, but that's all you did was mutter. But the point is,
I think he
what you're saying that.
I think what he said is he's assuming that you tend to vote Democratic, and he was asking, what have the Democrats actually done and accomplished in California?
Good. We're right where I want to be. I don't vote Democrat. I don't vote Republican. I vote independent, and even that I find is rigged. So I didn't vote for Clinton. I didn't vote for Bush. I didn't vote for Obama. I did not vote for Trump. I'm just here to live my life as truthful as I can live it and as real as I can live it. Now, as far as what Tom says, that so-called 34%, if the polls are true, that blacks are waking up to 34%, I say good for them. But I hope that they're waking up for themselves. Because I read a interesting article earlier in the week where Buttigieg said that he and the blacks have something in common. He's gay and they're black. I'm like, what the hell is that? We don't have anything in common. You choose to be gay. I'm black. But as a straight black man, I don't have anything in common with you, Mr. Buttigieg. So what I would like to say is to the so-called 34% of whatever percent of blacks who may be waking up, and I hope it's for themselves, I'm glad that you are getting off of your hands and knees and stop being the literal donkey of the Democratic Party or the jacked ass of the Democratic Party. And to the likes of Buttigieg, Clinton, and all the rest of the backgrounders, get the hell off our backs, all right? Because we didn't come here to carry you, but you only come around when you need us, all right? And it's no different for the Republicans. But the point is, I just want to see blacks wake up for themselves, All right. Now, as far as Bloomberg is concerned, he's going to come back after he did something that was totally unconstitutional and instituted something called stop and frisk. When he knew,
Okay.
Can you hold me
Lenny?
over, please?
Yeah, I'm going to hold you over. Stay on the line. Don't hang up. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. Here we're talking with Lenny in California, and Lenny was starting in on Michael Bloomberg's entry into the 2020 race.
As far as he's concerned, he instituted an unconstitutional decree to stop and frisk mainly people of color in New York. And he totally knew it was unconstitutional, but he didn't care at the time. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. But now that he wants to become a Democratic presidential nominee or a runner or become the Democratic president, he's allowed to go into the church of some handkerchief head black man. And I guarantee you that black man has two collection plates, one for the parishioners and one for Michael Bloomberg, and was allowed to stand up in his pulpit and say, I'm sorry, I did it, it was wrong, and I'm sorry. No, you just need the black vote. you want to use them again so you know where to go in order to be able to do that. So then you turn around, right around a few days after that, Mr. Bloomberg, and said, we need to take the guns from the black community in order to save them from themselves. You know what you really want to do. You want to get the guns out of all America's hands, majority the white Americans. You want to get their gun, but you want to scapegoat the black people to get it done. Let me say something to you, Mr. Bloomberg, from these cold black hands. You will never get them. Not from me. Now, if you got some Toms that still want to live that way and give it up, that's on them. But you won't. It won't be happening here. Now, I want to get to the blacks who just seem the 34% who seem to be waking up. If I'm thankful for one thing, if it's true, because I don't trust polls. I've been on this planet for 59 years. Then nobody ever stuck a microphone or a camera in my face and asked me a damn thing. So I don't trust polls. All right. But I can tell you what I feel. And to Tom, I asked you a question. You said if the NFL was black and one was white, which one would make it? I'm telling you, since neither one of us own anything, neither one of us would make it. All right. Now, as far as the black people who are just can't seem to get up out of their position, okay, or just being hand and foot waiting on someone to do for them, okay? To quote Dr. King, can't nobody ride your back unless it's bent. Get up off your all fours and be men and women. Now, Tom, if you want to know what it's all about, I want to give it to you in an entertaining form. Go to the movie The Thing. Watch the movie if you like, and you'll see an alien that comes in and imitates all manner of men. But at the very ending of the movie, this thing has taken out everything in camp except two men, one black, one white. And they're sitting and they're staring as the camp is burning to an end. And they're either going to freeze to death or something is going to happen. But one said to the other, if one of us is a thing, the other one's not in a condition to do anything about it. If we got any surprises for one another, the other one's not in a condition to do anything about it. This is where we are, Tom. If you can equate that or transition it from its entertainment form to where we really are as humanity, this is where we are. Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Same to you. And we're going to switch over to Johnny in Vancouver Island. Aloha, Johnny. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, you sure do. You sure do have a lot of passionate people on your show.
Yes,
Hello?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about the separation of Canada. You just got wiped off my internet right now. So that was kind of weird. Just as I'm on the phone waiting for you to talk to you, your internet access got wiped off Vancouver Island. So, and but there's a big push right now for Western Canada to separate from British Columbia or separate from the rest of Canada. And what the idea is we want to take Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia and just leave. And this is a big push right now. And instead of Quebec leaving, we're going to leave. And I just thought, what do you think about that?
Well, I've been hearing a lot about that. There are a lot of various groups that are looking to do that. Back in Hawaii, I was involved with a group that's working right now with the United Nations to basically force the recognition of the fact that the U.S. occupation of Hawaii and its subsequent statehood were violations of international law. There are various secession movements going on down in Texas, and there was a group of Western states called the Western States Coalition that were talking about secession as well. And of course, there's a movement to split California in two right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we'd like, I think if we left, if we actually, got our separation, we'd like to take the Northwest Territories and the Yukon with us. Because
well, I wish you a lot of I wish you luck, but I'm going to have to let you go. We got to take another break for commercials. We'll be back with another phone call after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75% dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat, very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. We're talking with Johnny and Vancouver Island. We're talking about various secession groups all across the country. And Johnny, you had one more thing you wanted to add? Johnny, are you there? Okay, apparently he dropped, so let's go over to Andy in Texas. Aloha, Andy. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, hey, happy Thanksgiving, Michael. No, I just want to talk to you about what's going on with this wonderful welfare state we got going on. You know, I'm a military veteran. You know, I had a pretty good life all the way up to about 2009. Helped a lot more veterans than I think a lot of people have. But then I found myself homeless from about 2012 till currently. The only thing I've gotten out of this system is you go to apply for some help via VA, or you even try to get some financial help from a city or a local government. And the one thing they're really hip on doing is giving you a bus ticket somewhere else.
Yes.
So I got a bus ticket from Texas to Phoenix. And then when I went to apply for help in Phoenix, they gave me a bus ticket to California. I got to Southern California, applied for some assistance. They gave me a bus ticket to Washington. Applied for assistance in Washington. They gave me a bus ticket back to California. So nobody's interested in helping any of us. It's crazy. No. So I'm in this big storm going on in California right now. And fortunately, I found a abandoned house, if you will, to hang out in. I'm sort of squatting, if you will. But, this whole societal thing with our government and whatnot, they just don't care about people who've served their country. I was in from 84 to 92. And some of the things they asked me to do, I'm ashamed of, but I'm still alive. And I should be treated as though as if I'm a human being. And I just don't think I've been given that kind of opportunity.
No, I mean, the government will spend all kinds of money training you up to be a useful little soldier and, give you all this very expensive equipment. But once you're used up, they have no more use for you and they just drop you. They don't spend a single penny on helping these veterans reintegrate back into society. Now, some of the veterans, they have, family support. And they can come back home and get helped up that way. But for people who lack that, shall we say, domestic safety net, they're just left out there. I mean, out in Hawaii, on the island of Oahu, we have about 8,000 homeless people. And obviously, if you're going to be homeless someplace, Hawaii is not bad. But a lot of them were veterans, and a lot of them had some serious medical issues, including lost limbs.
Well, that's the thing is in my travels, which has been not by my choice, but I have bumped into several people at the bus stations on the same kind of program I am. They just bus you from one place to the other. They're just veterans. We're lost in the scenario here. And here's another thing too. Proving you're a veteran is tough if you're not carrying a DD-214 or a military ID. Now, I was only in for 8 years, so I didn't get no retirement card or some sort of ID that says I did do military. They either have to take my word for it, or I got to go dig up a DD-214 from somewhere, which is a record of your military time, your service. So, I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous what's going on in this country. I just simply can't comprehend it. And I actually I had to use a bathroom, went into a Target, and some woman that looked like a John came in my bathroom while I was sitting on a can.
Okay.
Like, are you kidding me? The whole world has gone upside down, and I'm absolutely flabbergasted at where I'm at in life right now. I mean, anyway, I just thought I'd call up and complain. As far as Donald Trump goes, sure, he's a good guy and whatnot, but he's not doing nothing for some of us veterans. Maybe some he is, but proving that you're a veteran is the hardest part about being a veteran. Anyway, that's all I got.
All right. Well, listen, good luck. Stay warm. And thank you for the phone call. And I can't imagine you have much to be thankful for this Thanksgiving, but at least, try and find something positive to think about. Okay, we're going to switch from Andy now to Jim in New York. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mike, did you ever see the movie The Good Shepherd?
Oh, I love that movie.
Well, there was a powerful scene. You'll remember. And Joe Pesci was talking to Matt Damon. He said to Matt Damon's the CIA guy, he says, what's with you guys? Us Italians, we have our food, and the blacks have their music. What do you guys have? And Matt Damon says, we have the country.
Yes.
So I thought that was very powerful and very true. And I think these CIA operations, they run no matter who the president is. And
the CIA went rogue a long, long time ago. I mean, there is indications they were even involved in the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Oh, I believe that. And, the Bay of Pigs and all the Cuban thing, that actually was conceived during Eisenhower's administration.
Yeah.
But again, they run concurrently, no matter what puppet president is in there. And ISIS, I read also, the idea started late in the Bush administration. So ISIS goes through Bush, through Obama, through Trump. And I don't think a president can stop these operations. I really don't. What do you think?
Well, when Harry Truman started the CIA, he said at the time, this is one of the most dangerous things that we have done. And he was basically looking at the history of secret police organizations that, once established by their respective governments, went rogue and started thinking they were the government. J. Edgar Hoover was infamous for calling his office the seat of the American government.
Yes, I believe it. One more point. I think Tom is one of my favorite callers. I think we all agree with him on like 95% of what he says, but he seems to want to argue over the 5% disagree with. So he's always arguing with Dustin and Lenny, and I think Tom gets a little too defensive. I agree with 95% of what he says.
He's definitely a Trump fan. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And every time we talk about what Trump campaigned on and did he deliver, which he didn't, we can count on Tom to call on in and say, Trump has done all kinds of wonderful things. He pardoned a turkey today. He signed a proclamation making animal abuse a federal felony, which I actually agree with, by the way. But again, the promises that he made to get us to vote for him have, for the most part, not been carried out. We are still mired in all of these wars around the world, and Tom may quibble over the fact about how many troops we have in these other countries. Well, if we have even just one, it represents a failure of Trump to keep his promise to get us out of these wars.
Yeah, I don't think he can. I really believe that they're puppets. And as the CIA example I was giving you, I don't think he could stop it. But Tom's a great caller. Your callers make your show. They really
they do.
You have so many great callers. Tom, I love Mark from North Carolina. I haven't heard Layla in a while.
Yeah, she kind of went away. I hope she's okay.
Yeah, but callers are just fantastic. And on that note, you have a happy Thanksgiving.
All right, happy turkeys to you too. And we're going to switch over to Terry in California. Aloha, Terry. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, I just want to tell you what I'm thankful for. And I'm thankful for the people who don't interrupt the host when he's making a point, that don't try to talk over you when you're trying to make a point, because I want to hear both sides of it. So my little advice to everybody else is to, just wait. And when there's a pause and there's obviously your turn to talk, go ahead and talk. Second thing I wanted to say I'm thankful for, I know there's a lot of dissension in the ranks over the veterans. Well, I'm a veteran, and I'm thankful that I got the VA. I'm thankful that as 100% disabled, I'm getting a check every month. I'm thankful that I've gotten medical. I've got a nice VA hospital down here in Long Beach. I'm thankful that they give me drugs if I need them. I'm thankful for this hospital bed they got me. I'm thankful for this oxygen they got me. And all the stuff about veterans are treated so bad is something I don't see.
Well,
I don't expect them to give me a house. If I'm homeless, I don't expect them to say, here's your brand new home.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
you're one of the fortunate few here. Again, back on Oahu, I had reason to be involved, not involved, but to interface with the Tripler Army Hospital, which is VA. And we actually shot some scenes from Lost there. And I was up there helping one of the doctors with a video presentation for a device he was trying to invent. And the sense I got was that they were basically running a triage where they were trying to bring some help to the most serious cases. But for a lot of the less serious ones, the attitude is it's probably just all in their head. And again, the fact is that a lot of Hawaii's homeless are former veterans. Now, I understand that a lot of people coming back from these combat zones, they are able to adjust back to civilian lives on their own or with family support from friends and other veterans. But there are people who really don't make it back, and they're not getting the help they need to reintegrate into society.
Okay, well, yeah, there's all different angles. There's no question about that. But, you know, how many years did they serve? You can be a veteran with just 2 years of service, you know, and then you expect them to take care of the rest of your life? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, Mike.
Well,
anyway,
my
I'm
opinion,
thankful, and
and it's just my opinion, it doesn't matter how long you serve. If you step on an IED and you lose an important part of your body, I think the VA should be taking care of you. They shouldn't look at a calendar and say,
absolutely.
oh, he didn't serve. Sorry?
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I'm not arguing that at all.
Okay.
But, you know, I can't expect VA to do everything for me. Okay, Mike, the last point I want to make is, you know, we got Lenny, we got Tom, and we got to realize that there, you know, you mentioned it too, there are groups that want to tear us apart and pit us against each other. You know, the Black Lives Matter and the white male thing. They want us to get in conflict. What we got to do is realize that and stay united, you know, black and white together against the conspirator people that are behind all this. And anyway, that's the only point I wanted to make other than the first one. Okay, thanks, Mike. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. And we're going to go to James in Charlotte. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Yeah, just, well, first, let me wish you hopefully have a really nice Thanksgiving. And we all have a lot to be thankful for, even with all of the problems and difficulties going on. I wanted to find out, have you ever interviewed Peter Schweitzer?
It doesn't ring a bell, but
he wrote Quentin Cash.
Oh, yeah, I did interview him some years back.
Yeah, well, he's got his new book out, Secret Empires. If you can get him on sometime and to talk about that, I think it'd be a fantastic interview. He really ties together all kinds of things that went on during the Obama administration, with not just Biden, but the whole vast range of corruption. And it was really spectacular.
All right, I'll try and get him back on.
Yeah, well, that's just my suggestion. Thanks a lot.
All right. Okay, the phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. All right, getting into the world of political correctness. And in my mind, this whole transgender thing has gone way too far. And the idea that even the White House, you know, is saying anybody can use any bathroom that they feel like using. Yeah, that's going to cause additional stress on people who are already dealing with a huge amount of stress just by virtue of the fact that they're working in the White House. But apparently, biological males who are saying, you know, I'm actually a female, I'm actually a woman. They're now basically trying to say they should be allowed to compete in the 2020 Olympic Summer Games, competing against biological women in sporting events. This may have been the shark, because this is going to force a public debate over this legitimacy of allowing biological men who are out there saying, I identify as a woman, to go on into these women's sports events where they're just sweeping up all the trophies. And to me, this is not only illogical, it's unfair to the biological women who have trained for years to get to the Olympics. And by default, they're basically being told, well, we're sorry, you're probably going to lose to the biological men, but these biological men, they truly believe in their heart of hearts they're women, and we have to let them in. And it's nonsense. And this may be spark that lights the candle of sanity in all of this. Okay, we got to take a break for commercials. Back with the last segment of today's program after these few words.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something By and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Last segment of our show today on this Thanksgiving Eve, if you will. And again, a reminder, RBN is giving our hardworking staff Thanksgiving Day off and the Friday. So our next live broadcast will be Monday. So we hope you'll tune on in there. Getting on back to political correctness, there's an aspect to this whole transgender situation that's not getting any coverage in the corporate media. In fact, in the view of the corporate media, transgenderism is wonderful. Everybody should love it. Everybody who's gone through it, they're just happy as all whatever. The reality is very different. There is a huge, huge problem with people who regret having gone through the transgendering process, but that's being kept hidden by whoever it is who's pushing this agenda on us in the first place. So apparently there's this British woman known as Debbie and was being interviewed on Newsnight and discussed with presenter Deborah Cohen how she feels she mutilated the body she was born with by surgically transitioning. So she became a transgender male 20 years ago, and now she's detransitioning to go back to being a woman. And according to this article over in Post News D2, more and more trans men are deeply regretting the gender reassignment surgery. Now, for transgender men, well, for either one, I mean, important bits get thrown away during the surgery. And so going back is going to be very, very difficult. A lot of people came on out here with this idea that, oh, you're an elephant trapped in a mouse's body, or whatever the nonsense was going to be. And if you will transition, if you will change your body and take a bunch of drugs and become the other gender, some gender or no gender, who knows, that all your problems will go away. And a lot of people who started out with a lot of problems went through the process only to discover that having gone through gender reassignment didn't make their problems go away. In fact, it just added a whole new layer of problems on top of it. Okay, over to Virginia University. The triggered liberal snowflakes protested over a fiesta-themed party held by classmates. It's cultural appropriation. How dare they have piñatas and ponchos and sombreros? It's cultural appropriation. I mean, this is utter nonsense. When I was growing up, having parties with a theme, and because I lived in Southern California, Mexican-themed parties were common. And again, if you don't like a Mexican-themed party, don't go. Stop running around trying to convince everybody else how to live their lives. There's the music. Time for me to get on out of here. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots to share with you. Please spread the word of RBN and whatreallyhappened.com. Please grow our audience. Please donate this holiday season. We've got our little stockings hung up. We've been good little boys and girls, and we need your help. So we'll be back next Monday live. Aloha, America.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold